Hello everyone. In the previous lecture, we were discussing about how traditional classroom is different from a constructivist classroom, wherein we saw various points related to traditional teaching and constructivist teaching. In the last video, we saw how traditional teaching is different from that of constructivist teaching, and we also saw what are the ways by which we can adopt constructivist classroom by focusing on the points which are under constructivism. So today we'll focus on an important aspect related to this topic of constructivism, that is implications of constructivism. Implications of constructivism means how would you use this theory of constructivism or this way of conducting the teaching learning process in reality in your classroom. First point is learning is an active process. So when we talk about learning being an active process, we have discussed enough about it, wherein we saw why learning is considered an active process, because the students are involved in it. In a situation wherein the students are not involved actively, we cannot call that process as an active process. So learning needs to be active, and passive learning is not a characteristic of constructivism. Learning takes place through direct experiences, making errors, and finding solutions to problems. We have also seen that until and unless you do not provide students with an opportunity to learn something by taking a direct experience, for example, if you are talking about a scientific phenomena in your classroom, it is equally important that you give them an opportunity to experience it directly in a laboratory, because that will make their learning more concrete. Making errors. Please allow your students to do mistakes while they are performing an experiment, or maybe while they are answering to a question asked by you. It is important to make errors, it is important to make mistakes, without which no one can learn. And finding solutions to problems. So as a teacher, it is your responsibility to pose in front of them certain situations which are problematic, certain situations which are discrepant, and ask them to come about with a solution to that given problem or a given issue or an event which we call a discrepant event. Third point is how information is presented is important. So it is again very significant for everyone or every teacher to know. It is not only to provide them with the information, instead it is also important how you present that given information to them, how you introduce that given concept to the students, how successful you become in developing a particular perspective among students about the given concept. So it is up to the teacher how he or she is presenting the information, and there lies a major part of their ability in understanding it. So it's very important that you pre-decide what are the ways by which you are going to present that given concept in front of the students, because that will more or less determine how and in what direction they would think about the given topic. Fourth point is when information is presented as an aid to solve problems, it functions as a tool. Now, this is somewhat related to the point that we discussed just now. It says that depending on what information you present, how information is presented is equally important. Apart from that, when information is presented, that also is very important. So if you focus on these two terms, how and when, they play a very significant role. Now, when information is presented as an aid to solve problems, so if you are giving your students a discrepant event or a problematic situation to solve, it is again very important that you focus on when you are supposed to provide them that resource of information that you have with you in order to make them comfortable in solving that given problem. So you can choose to make use of your information as a tool too, depending on when you choose to provide that information to them. And according to Piaget, who is a psychologist who worked on a very interesting theory that we study in B.Ed, I think, I don't know whether you have already started learning about it. It's called Cognitive Development Theory by Piaget. Then he will discuss about various levels of cognitive development, namely namely sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Sensory motor stage, according to Piaget in his cognitive development theory, is from birth to 18 to 24 months of child or of infant is seen. Pre-operational is from 2 to 7 years old. Concrete operational is seen from 7 to 11 years old, and formal operational is from adolescence to adulthood. So according to Piaget, children construct their knowledge in meaningful way by interacting with the world around them. So according to him, a child is able to develop or construct his or her knowledge based on how, when, and depending on what are the opportunities given to the child to interact with the world. So when we talk about interaction of a child with the world around them, then that interaction, environment, or whatever possibilities that we can create as teachers for the students is with us. So it's very important that we focus on how they will construct their knowledge, and how also deals with what kind of an environment we can provide to them in order to develop that knowledge in them, or in order to construct that knowledge in them. Next point. Students can learn concepts clearly if they are engaged in meaningful activities which are real and authentic. So if you want your students to learn the concepts very clearly, and if you want them to remember for a long time, it is important that you engage them in meaningful activities. What do you mean by meaningful activities? Meaningful activities are those which are relevant to the concept that you are doing. Second one is they should be of interest to the students as well as to you, and there should be some outcome which you get out of those activities. Okay, so if you take care of even these three things when you design an activity in order to make it a meaningful one, it can help your students learn the concept clearly. And it also talks about the activities being real and authentic. So when I talk about real activities, you need to give them that activity in order to perform it on their own, something which they can do, something which they can do really, as in wherein their involvement is required, and authentic as in something original. Yes, there is always a tendency that you go and search for certain activities which you feel can be relevant to the concept that you're doing. Sometimes when you do not have time to design one, that's fine, but try and give it a direction, or try and customize it as per your needs, as per your level of intelligence, as per the level of intelligence of your students, and as per the resources that are available. So you need to also look at all these points when you are planning or maybe designing a meaningful activity. Next point is students must be given opportunities to construct knowledge through their own experiences. Now when we talk about own experiences, even while learning this topic, each one of you have your own schema about the topic, or whatever points that we have discussed so far about the concept of constructivism, and each of you are having your own experiences which are very unique to yourself. Okay, your experience cannot be similar to the other students' experience, in spite of being in the same class, in spite of learning it from the same teacher. Each child will have their own experiences. So it's very important that you provide an opportunity to all the children to get that experience, maybe by doing that given experiment, or maybe by getting involved in the classroom, because that is one of the best ways to construct, or maybe to allow them to construct their knowledge. Next point is they cannot be told by the teacher. There is less emphasis on direct teaching specific skills and more emphasis on learning meaningful context. So it's very important that you as a teacher just remain a step back and just be a facilitator to them, and do not try and get involved too much in the activities that they do. Yes, but you have to be a part of the activity as a facilitator and help them if they're going in a wrong direction. But it is also important that you also give less emphasis on direct teaching and specific skills. You do not tell them what they have to do, and do not tell them this is what you have to learn. Okay? Instead, more emphasis should be placed on learning meaningful context. They should understand that concept well, and they should be in a position to apply it somewhere else. So if they are able to apply it in a new situation or a new or maybe in a new field, then it guarantees you that they have somewhat understood the topic, because just asking them questions about it makes sure that they have memorized it enough. But if they are not in a position to apply it somewhere else, then it doesn't fulfills the objective with which you are teaching the topic. So it's very important that do not get involved much with the students when they are doing the activity. Instead, just be a guide, just be a mentor, and just help them go through that process of constructing their own knowledge and while they are getting their own experiences. Then technology, particularly multimedia, produces many opportunities for the students, as we have seen and as we have experienced too. Even in our school days and even now, technology plays a very important role in order to make or in order to involve students in the classroom in a better way, which was not possible when we were focusing on the traditional method of teaching, wherein there was only one-way traffic. The teacher was talking, the students were supposed to listen with very little interaction. Although sometimes it does happen when we even use technology, because that also depends on what method or mode of transaction the teacher is opting for. But in a way, multimedia has always enhanced or always given more opportunities to the students to share what they feel or to interact with the teachers. And with technology support such as video, audio, teacher provides essential tools with which knowledge can be constructed more meaningfully. So since we have various resources apart from the interacting platforms that we have or the conferencing tools that we have, even the videos and audio, like you can share with your students the video, you can also share with them your audio recordings, and these can serve as essential tools which can aid the students in constructing their knowledge or getting their own experiences in a more meaningful way. Teachers should encourage the students to construct their own knowledge. So, as I said, you have to just be a step back and just provide them the situation, the environment in which they can flourish and they can grow. And you just watch them and see how they are moving, whether they are moving in the right direction or not, whether they are doing the right thing or not, because each one is capable of constructing their own knowledge. That's what constructivism believes in. And the role of a teacher is very minimal, and it is assigned, the teacher has assigned a role of a facilitator. So it's very important that you encourage your children, you motivate them to construct their own knowledge, provide them that assistance, resources at the right time, and help them reach that given goal. Students should be provided with the activities in which they can use their previous knowledge and construct new knowledge. That's what we were discussing about. Students should be provided with. So it's our job as teachers to provide them with the activities in which they can explore what they know about the topic, or they can use their previous knowledge in order to construct new knowledge, because you cannot give them knowledge. They have to construct their knowledge. What we can give them is an opportunity to construct the knowledge. That opportunity can be in the form of an activity, it can be in the form of an exercise, it can be in the form of a question. So it's up to you what method you choose, but you are just a provider of situation, a provider of information, a resourceful individual. Nothing more than that, and you're also a facilitator. Okay, so you need to shift yourself from the center of the teaching learning process and give students a chance to be a center of that process. Through trial and error methods, students construct their knowledge through new level of understanding. So they learn by doing mistakes. So give them an opportunity to make mistakes. Making mistakes is the first step while learning something new. Okay, so it's important that you give them that opportunity to make mistakes, so that they can reach a new level of understanding about the given activity or the given idea. So these were some of the points associated with implications of constructivism. Some more points associated with this given topic we'll discuss in the upcoming lectures. So if you have any queries related to the points that are discussed, please feel free to type it in the chat box. Thank you.